My aunt knew how much I love plants and flowers. So when she heard that I was leaving for the US, she stopped by with a bunch of bougainvillea stems and flowers for me to plant. But I said, Auntie, I'm leaving in a few days. It doesn't really make sense. It's not worth it. She held out her ear. Call me by my middle name. And when an African woman holds out her ear, calls you by your middle name, and supports one hand on her hip, you better sit upright and listen to what she has to say. She said, one day of your life lived anywhere is one day of your life you will never get back. So the best gift you can give yourself is to live a life that you are fully awake for. A life that you are living every single day like it's your best day yet. Now, don't get my story all wrong. My aunt is not a psychologist. She was fully immersed in the suffering of my childhood and just wanted the best for me. Growing up in my home country of Cameroon, I lost count of the number of times that I had infectious diseases like typhoid, dysentery, cholera. I had malaria over 35 times. Now, I wish I was standing here to tell you how strong and personally resilient I am, that I had malaria over 35 times and survived it. I'm sorry for your disappointment. If you were to connect with anybody who grew up in a West Central African region, they'll tell you a similar, if not worse, story about malaria. Growing up as children in malaria endemic zones and developing countries, we often aspire to relocate to a developed country where we can live a life in the absence of infectious disease, in hopes for a better life. So, I arrived at the O'Hare International Airport with $300 in my wallet and nothing else to call my own. With the help of my amazing host family, I settled into life in Chicago and I pursued my master's degree. After which, I enrolled in a Doctor of Pharmacy program at the Ohio State University. During my Doctor of Pharmacy studies, it became increasingly clear to me that not all that glitters is gold. It became clear to me that I was immersed in a society that was suffering from a different type of problem. It was no longer infectious disease, my friends. It was chronic diseases. Life without infectious disease, life without diseases, a fulfilled life was as elusive to me as it was when I lived in a developing country. And if you've lived and studied in a developing country, as well as a developed country, you know that it broadens your mind. It gives you a different perspective of life. Now I know that 60% of American adults live with one chronic disease, and 42% live with 2 or more chronic diseases. It's not a lack of resources. It's not about a lack of prescriptions. Speaking about prescriptions, during my work with Generation RX, I came across a startling statistic. The United States makes up only 4.6% of the world's population. Yet, as a country, we consume 80% of the world's prescription pain medication. 80%. Yet, we're not optimally healthy. Have you met anybody who doesn't want to lead a fulfilled life? We think about life and we say, you know, I just want to be healthy. I want to be fulfilled. I just think, how are you doing? I'm fine. When they tell you I'm fine, they don't tell you that I'm overwhelmed, I'm stressed, I'm sleep deprived. Because when you ask people, how are you doing? They don't tell you, I'm incredibly fulfilled with my life right now. You don't get that. You get, I'm fine. Conversations with friends are often filled with complaining about unending to-do lists, complaining about, not feeling well despite our accumulation of prescription medications, exercise equipment, wellness gadgets, you name them. Have you met somebody who doesn't want to lead a fulfilled life? Have you met somebody who wants to purposely jeopardize their health? I am yet to meet anybody who fits that criteria. Think of fulfilled life as here, where you want to be. Intentional living are those steps that you take repeatedly and consistently to get you there. As a country, we continue to rely solely and strongly on prescription medication, which has not given us the desired results so far. Why do we continue to do that? Don't get me wrong. As a doctor of pharmacy, I have seen firsthand the life-saving benefits of prescription medications. But I say there is a space and time for lifestyle medicine and intentional living. Can we include and prioritize intentional living to be able to lead a healthy and fulfilled life? Think of a table with 4 legs, pillars of intentional living, as we move towards health and a fulfilled life. Why does health matter? When your health suffers, you suffer. When your health suffers, the people around you suffer, your caregivers, family, friends, colleagues. Pillars of intentional living. Join me on this intentional living journey as we change that narrative. Nutrition, movement, inner alignment, and social connection. Our first pillar is nutrition. Hippocrates said, "Let food be thy medicine, and let medicine be thy food." Yet, as a country, 70% of the food we put on our plates is highly processed and filled with added sugars. This drives up inflammation. And as inflammation is going up, chronic disease is also going up. I tell my clients and patients every day, inflammation is the root of all evil when it comes to chronic disease. Inflammation is the #1 driver for diabetes, type 2 diabetes, which is one of the fastest growing chronic diseases in the US. In 1960, it was 1 in 100 people who had type 2 diabetes. Fast forward to 2021, it is 1 in 10 people. And this, my friends, is with all the prescription medications that we have, all the metformin that we can prescribe and consume, all the insulin that we can inject, all the research papers that we have published, all the books and all the podcasts that we know. We have the knowledge. Why are we trending towards the wrong direction? If we don't do anything different, we're heading towards the statistics which is projected that in 2050, 1 in 3 people will have type 2 diabetes. What is an intentional initiative that we can implement today to start reversing this? We can put nutrient-dense foods on our plates. You don't have to radically change what you're eating every day because that might not be sustainable for some people. You could just include a nutrient-dense side to your food. A side that comes from the farm, a side that comes from the garden. Something that your grandparents will recognize because it's not highly processed. Something that has high phytonutrients, something that is high in antioxidants, because this is going to reduce inflammation. And as inflammation reduces, the risk for chronic disease reduces as well. You can also decide that you'll never eat dessert alone. I will always share dessert, because that way, if it has those added sugars, we're sharing it and we're not consuming the entire serving size. Our second pillar is movement. Optimal health is impossible without our second pillar of movement. You know, I send a care package to my aunt every month, and when I pack her supplements and I send them, I write the same note every single month. Auntie, this is a complete waste of my time, energy, and resources if you don't get your butt off the couch and move. You know, it doesn't have to be a 5K, and it doesn't have to be an hour at a fancy gym. A 10-minute brisk walk increases mental cognition. So move your body with intention and gratitude. Because our bodies depend on it. When you move your body, a protein gets produced in your brain. It's called BDNF. BDNF is brain-derived neurotrophic factor. It is responsible for memory, for cognition, for learning and mental clarity, neuroplasticity, reducing the risk of Alzheimer's. So movement is not just about physical activity or that fitness. It's not just about reducing insulin resistance, even though that's optimally important. It's about chemistry. It's about connection. It's about mental clarity. What's an intentional initiative that we can implement today to strengthen our second pillar of movement? So I own an independent pharmacy, which is built on the 4 pillars of intentional living. And at my pharmacy, at the top of every hour, we do 10 squats. But when my pharmacy manager, Ronnie, returned from maternity leave, she thought it was a phenomenal idea to change that to 15 squats. So anybody that works with me would have completed 135 squats by the end of your workday. So you're welcome to visit me at my pharmacy at the top of the hour. Or you can implement this at your workplace. Or you can implement this at your home. Our third pillar is inner alignment. The magic of true living happens when mind, body, and spirit align. Several years of my life, I lived leading the life that others expected of me. There are some members of your family who will never be satisfied with how much emotional and financial support you give them. There are some of your co-workers and colleagues who will never think that you deserve that promotion. There are some people in our community who don't think that you're donating enough of your time and your financial resources based on how much they think you have. So embrace yourself. Embrace your unique self. Oscar Wilde says, be yourself, because everybody else is taken. And when you are yourself, you are clear on your personal values. When you're clear on your personal values, guess what reduces? Decision fatigue reduces. And when decision fatigue reduces, you stop chasing external validation. And when you stop chasing external validation, you prioritize those activities which increase the good neurotransmitter production in your body. And those neurotransmitters are your dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, endorphins. These neurotransmitters are our happiness chemicals. Some of those activities are gratitude journaling, deep breathing, restorative sleep, hydration. These are things that are within. This is not external validation. When you prioritize those activities, guess what also happens? The density of gray matter in your brain increases. When the density of gray matter in your brain increases, emotional regulation increases. What an intentional initiative that we can implement today to strengthen our third pillar. My daughter Mala and I are on our day 357 of gratitude journaling, consistently writing down 3 things that we're grateful for every single day. Why so? Because when gratitude increases, stress reduces. And as when stress reduces, inflammation reduces. As inflammation reduces, the risk for chronic disease reduces. Today can be your day 1. Our fourth and final pillar is social connections. Positive social connections, my friends. Harvard University's 85-year-long study on happiness and belonging showed that the strongest predictor of a long, healthy, fulfilled life is not anything else, but the quality of our relationships. We are social beings, craving connection and belonging. So intentional living is not just about what you do, it's about who you do it with. Examine the life around you. Examine the culture around you. Disconnect from distractions that no longer serve your purpose. Disconnect from distractions that are not towards your personal values. Identify the people who are already living out your value. Study their habits. Spend more time with them. Spend time with people who bring a smile to your face. Handpick the people who bring a smile to your heart and spend time with them. When you spend time with these people, it uplifts you. Now, my children went to Montessori preschool. And at the end of the year, my boys brought back their report cards, and it said, Timchia comes alive on the soccer field. And Vince has the best dance moves for a class party. And I was like, hold up. All this money that I'm paying for you guys to go play soccer and dance, Where is the academic aptitude? Where's the studying coming in? And I said, oh, Emlah, hold up. This is positive social connections. They're doing the things that they love to do with the people that they love to do. And I took that. I implemented a Friday night party at my home. And we just keep away all the social media and all the phones and everything and just connect and spend time with each other. Even if your dance moves are not as good as Vince's dance moves, share your bad dance moves with the people that bring us happiness and smile to your soul. Share your bad dance moves with your friends, and it will bring a smile to their own hearts. Let's prioritize connection over consumption. Intentional living, my friends, as you make decisions every single day, ask yourself, is this decision strengthening one of my pillars, or is it weakening one of my pillars? Think about it. It's not about just changing everything that you do it's autopilot. It's here. And when you live on autopilot, you wake up one day feeling disconnected, depleted, and unfulfilled. But if you change just small, consistent steps in the direction of your goals, in the direction of your personal values, these consistent steps become the foundation of a vibrant, purposeful life. And living on autopilot is a default setting. Aligned is an empowered personal choice. And these choices fill you up inside. Don't get me wrong. Intentional living is not perfection. Intentional living is presence. It is progression. When you fill your insight with all these intentional living steps, it has no choice than to flow into the spaces around you. And when it flows into the spaces around you, it helps you, give you the gift of living a life that you're truly awake for and living every single day like it's your best day yet. Thank you.